If you're looking to work out and support a great cause, Fit for Duty is for you. Join us on May 17th at the Sail House in Tarrytown at 9 a.m. for a fun morning of fitness, food, and music. Come out and join Mike Coonahan, Mike Trotter, and the Reps for Responders team for a unique experience featuring a cold plunge, a police academy-style workout, brunch, and great music. Reps for Responders focuses on improving the physical and emotional survivability skills of first responders, helping them make responsible decisions both on the job and in their personal lives. Their services support the mental health and well-being of police officers, firefighters, EMS, EMTs, correction officers, military personnel, and nurses, active and volunteer, with the ultimate goal of reducing suicide rates within the first responder community. There are ticket options to work out and brunch or just to spectate and come eat with the crew. You can grab yours at fitforduty.repsforresponders.org. If you're interested in showcasing your business, sponsorship opportunities are still available. For more information, you can find them on Instagram at Reps for Responders. This is an event you don't want to miss, so get your tickets today, and we'll see you out there on May 17th. This episode is brought to you by Whitaker Garage Doors, your one-stop shop for all things garage doors, proudly based in Peekskill, New York. Your home is a direct reflection of your personal style, and let's face it, your garage doors are the first thing people see when they pull up your driveway. Whether you're looking for the timeless charm of a classic carriage house door or the clean, sleek look of a basic wood finish, Whitaker Garage Doors offers traditional options for every taste and budget. I can personally vouch for their incredible service. When I had my own garage doors done, I was blown away by their timeliness, professionalism, and overall respect for their clients. Jonathan, Cassara, and their entire team are top-notch, and they really go the extra mile to ensure you're happy with the final result. So if you're in the market for a new garage door or need some repairs, give them a call or find them on Instagram at Whitaker_doors. Don't forget to tell them you're a friend of Dave's over at the No Snooze podcast. Whitaker Doors. You won't regret it. Now, back to the epi. Adversity? Bring it. The struggle, I welcome it. Snooze on life, never that. I am Dave Regina, and this is the No Snooze Podcast. Come on. Welcome back, No Snooze Podcast, episode 219. As always, I'm in the booth with a big three. We have Claudio the Voice, Valenzuela, Kenny MTV Santucci, and I am Dave the Body Regina. Kenny Santucci is one of New York City's top trainers, a powerful force in the health and wellness world, and the creator of the largest fitness event in the city, Strong New York. With well over a decade of experience, Kenny's journey from an overweight 225-pound high school freshman to an Ironman athlete and fitness icon is nothing short of inspiring. As a brand ambassador for Michelob Ultra and FitAid, and a collaborator with top names like Reebok, Under Armour, and CrossFit, Kenny's impact spans across the fitness industry. But his success goes beyond just training. He's dedicated to helping people become the best version of themselves, both physically and mentally. Whether it's lifting heavy weights or lifting others, Kenny's message is clear. Take care of the little things, and the big things will take care of themselves. Today, we'll dive into his personal journey, the challenges he's faced, his approach to wellness, and his mission to make fitness accessible to everyone. Kenny, welcome to the podcast, my brother.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I like this. I like this setup. This is good. I just got these two heavy mugs. One of my buddies got me one and one of my clients got me one, and they're like 25 pounds a piece.
25. Is it a dumbbell?
Yeah, no, it's just like, it's kind of a gag gift.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
these heavy mugs.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, they're sick. So I want to start using those on my podcast. To have these like 2 heavy mugs, and it's like, see who could actually sit on it.
You just put it, that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's got like a dumbbell handle on it. Yeah.
You know, it's funny, we were talking off air. So I come with my Yeti every time. I need 40 ounces for every episode. And Kenny he's talking trash over here. He's like, dude, people are like acting like they're living in the desert island. I'm like, you don't want any water, my brother? You're good? I'm like a fish over here.
I started the morning with 2 Celsius. Actually, no, this morning I had a bulletproof coffee. So I had like MCT oil, some butter, and black coffee, and I love that. That's a great way. And then later on my ride up here, I had a Celsius.
Yep.
So I crush a couple of those. But yeah, I mean, everybody's always worried about fucking dehydrating. I'm like, you'll be okay, I promise. Like, I've ran races for 12, 13, 14 hours and didn't drink as much water as the average person does with a fucking Stanley or something.
No, Yeti over here, bro.
Yeti.
Do not offend me like that.
Sorry.
Listen, I have to shout out Sherry for the connection, right?
Yeah.
She connected us on Instagram. We got a lot of mutuals as well. So I'm excited to have you here, man.
Yeah, it's impressive that 2 guineas in the tri-state I haven't met sooner. I would have figured I met you at some some dance club or some shit somewhere between 2004 and now.
So good. Listen, man. So I want to get into your story. I want to really learn about you a little bit, and something in the bio that was very interesting. People who look at you now, I don't think it was always this way, right? You were an overweight 225-pound freshman, which to some might be like, wow, that dude was jacked looking at you now, but that was not the case.
No.
Talk to me about the upbringing.
I mean, one of the memories that sticks out in my head, I was probably 4th or 5th grade. I tried out for the basketball team in grammar school. And you know when they give you those basketball cards, or like the trading cards, they put your picture on it and shit, and you're standing there with the basketball. Well, my jersey was tight as shit. So were my shorts, and everybody else was like baggy kind of uniform. And they weighed us in and measured us and everything. And I was, I forget what I was. I forget how tall I was, but I'll never forget how much I weighed, because everyone else on my team was like 65 pounds, 85 pounds. I was like 115, 120 pounds.
Wow.
And in like 4th or 5th grade, I was like significantly heavier than everybody else. So my brother was there too. And I remember lying about my weight. And my brother's like, you're not that much weight. And like in front of everybody. And I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up, man. Come on. So since I was little, I was always like kind of embarrassed and ashamed of my weight, and I hated it. And I remember the defining moment for me was I was about to go to an 8th grade birthday party. Now think about all the shit that's happened to you in your life. You're my age, right? What are you? 40?
I'm 35.
35. Oh, fuck you. So much younger. So I just turned 42. And you think about all the things that have happened to in your life. And so many people are like, well, you haven't been fat since you were a kid. I go, yes, but that's the most detrimental time. Think about the shit that happens to people at a young age that stays with them their whole life. Me being overweight as a kid has set me on this trajectory to be, I eat, sleep, shit, and breathe the fitness industry. I don't take vacations unless I'm going to a fitness event. This weekend, I'm going down to Austin for a biohacking event. 2 weekends ago, I was out at the HFA event, which is this big equipment event. So because I was overweight and out of shape, it just made me obsessed with what I do now. But anyway, I was going to an 8th grade birthday party, and everybody at school was talking about like making out with girls and all this shit. And I was like, I wasn't even mentioned in the conversation. I had these big, thick, square glasses on. I read comic books all the time. And I remember getting dressed. I had this zip up kind of, my dad used to dress me, or I liked wearing them because he wore them, like tracksuits, typical old school Guinea shit.
Yep.
So I had these tracksuits on, and I had this tracksuit that I'm like, oh, I've been saving this one. I'm going to look so good in this thing. And I put this joint on, and it was fucking tight. And I'm looking in the mirror, and I'm like, dude, you look terrible. And it was like that defining moment for me, looking in the mirror and just being like, okay, no one's going to help you. unless you help yourself. And I realized that at like 12, 13 years old, I was like, I have to be able to help myself. So I remember saying to myself, like so vividly, I go, as soon as you start high school, which was like the following year, I'll have access to a gym. I'll be able to play sports because I lived in Newark. I grew up in Newark. So there's like nowhere I could go. And like we'd ask my dad to take us to the gym. He's like, don't go to gym. Fags go to gym. And I'm like, what? Arnold Schwarzenegger goes to the gym. So anyway, so I got to high school and I just started. I remember my first day of football practice. So this is before we even started school. This was like August. They were running us back and forth and we were working out and doing push-ups. And this is the first time I've actually worked out like that. Before that, I played basketball and baseball, which aren't as physically demanding or looked at as the same as. And I went to St. Peter's Prep in Jersey, where it's like very sports driven. Like you're not going to make a team there unless you're good. So I started to lose weight and started to feel good. And by the end of my freshman year, I think I was like probably 189. And by the time I graduated, I was like 160. But I was like wrestling. I was lean. I was working out all the time. Like I loved working out and I loved learning about it. I had this obsession where I'm like, oh, if I could do this, then I could do this. And I could do this, then I could do this. And I was just actually telling this story on another podcast. I remember I stole this Muscular Development magazine, which I don't even think is around anymore. I stole this Muscular Development magazine. And in the magazine, I'm pretty sure it was Lee Priest. He has 2 Coke bottles and he's like crushing them in his hands. And he's like, you should never drink soda. It's like, there's no nutritional value to it. It's calorically dense. It's got all the sugar and shit. And I'm like, and this was like freshman year, sophomore year of high school. And I remember being like, I could give up soda. And I gave up soda. And I lost like 10 pounds right away, like in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So when I see like heavy set kids, I'm like, they're given to maintain that weight, just to maintain your size. You know, you have to eat a lot of protein. You're not going to maintain that size unless you're eating a significant amount of food. It's the same thing with fat. And that's what people don't realize. It's like for you to sustain that heavy a weight, you're eating a significant amount of calories more than what you actually need. Because if you cut back, you'd lose a little bit of weight. Right. So at that time, it's like, it's easy to cut out soda. And then there was I remember another picture years later. It's like somebody like Ronnie Coleman or something was like smashing a cake. And I was like, all right, I'll give up pastries and stuff too. And in an Italian household, you only go to other family friends' homes with crumb cakes or something from Entenmann's.
And soda everywhere.
Yeah. So I stopped a lot of that stuff. And my mother's like, what are you doing? You're not going to eat, blah, blah. And I go, no, and I started to watch myself change. I'm like, oh, if I could do this. And when I felt really good about it, I was like, if I could do this for myself, well, the next thing I want to do is share with other people because I feel so much better. I went from my freshman, sophomore year of high school to basically like I couldn't get a girl to piss on me if I was on fire to my senior year. There was this one girl that everybody's obsessed with. So I went to an all-guys Catholic high school. She went to an all-girls Catholic high school. And she like comes up to me one day and starts talking to me. And I'm like, holy fuck. I had like butterflies in my stomach. I was like, I can't believe this girl's talking to me. And everything changed after that. The way I looked at myself, the way other people looked at me. And that's your business card. People will treat you the way you walk in the room. And it's so important. And I've learned that hundreds of times, time and time again. If The Rock walks in the room, aside from him being who he is, if he walks in a room and people don't know who he is, which I don't know where that would happen on the planet, he's still large.
Commands the room.
Yeah, he commands the room. Like anybody who's in shape is like, it's subconscious in our brains that, hey, this person works really hard. There's some level of dedication there. I want to be around this person. I want to just feed off whatever they're doing because it's only going to make me better. And I love that. And I try to do that when people are like, how do you stay driven? I'm like, I just want that. I want that. I want to be that person for other people. When people feel like, oh, they're in doubt and they don't want to do it, I'm like, I'm doing it. You want to come do it with me? So.
No, that's a great way to break it down, man. You know what I love about your story too is that it was all centered around you. You know, it like nobody had to wake you up. You woke yourself up. For me, it was the complete opposite, man.
Right.
Like I'm sure we'll discuss on your side of the podcast.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And I went from like 190 pounds in high school to 153 pounds and hated the way that I looked.
Really?
So that started my obsession to like get into health and wellness. And I found that like, when I was playing ball and I was working out, my stress would go down. Crohn's disease is triggered by stress too in the system. I you know, growing up, it was a little tough. So that was one piece of it. And then also like figuring out what worked for me in terms of a diet, pairing that with medication. Now I'm able to live in remission. But I love the realization you had at such an early age.
How old were you?
When I got diagnosed?
Yeah.
16.
Okay. So you're like halfway through high school.
Yeah, it was tough, man. I mean, thank God I was, you know, a little popular, but like I used to have to carry toilet paper in my backpack to go to class. Yeah, when it was real bad and I was like undiagnosed trying to figure it out, and 40 pounds in 4 months came
And
off.
that's got to fuck with a kid. So as an adult, you're like, I'm just going to deal with it. But as a kid, it fucks with you.
I think of actually, and I said this before, I think of like how hard that must have been on my parents not knowing what it was and they couldn't help anything.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
You know, then the other thing with healthy food is like you think, okay, let's try to eat some vegetables. If you have like a cucumber and Crohn's disease, it's the worst possible thing because anything with seeds and skin, horrible for you because it gets into the digestive tract.
Shit.
So there's a whole different
I don't know
different
much
path.
about it.
Yeah, no. But I love how you had that realization. And I do think we do have a leg up being from Italian households because they give us this level of confidence on the low. Like just being Italian, you know what I mean?
Dude, my dad was a fat, bald Homer Simpson looking Italian guy, and he had all the confidence in the world. He walk into a room, make fun of everyone in the room. I go, you look worse than everyone else.
Is he still with us?
No. He passed in 2019. Thank God.
Wow.
He would have never made it through COVID. He would not have bent for the rules.
Jesus.
Yeah, he was a stubborn old prick.
God bless him.
Yeah.
I heard you say that fitness has become your religion.
Yeah.
Right? So what does that daily commitment to fitness look like for you now?
I just interviewed Alex. He's with Bucked Up. He's huge on YouTube and stuff. Anyway, I was asking him, I was like, what is that? Why do we see so many people, whether it's in CrossFit or bodybuilding, who have this parallel belief in, you know, strength training and the gym and also their faith in whatever religion they believe in? I think they're very closely related. Like it has to be something that you do on a daily basis to pay homage to whoever it may be or whatever it is. And I think it's like almost paying homage to yourself. I grew up very Catholic, but I didn't, you know, I'm not still going to church every Sunday. My mother, my brother, my sister, they go every Sunday, no matter what happens, no matter where they are. I kind of stepped away from it and kind of made this like my religion because this is what helped me, you know, and whatever it is that you feel is your guiding light or whatever's helping you out, well then, yeah, you should, you know, kind of praise that a bit. There's this higher power. There's this other thing happening above me that I just need to kind of make sure I pay homage to every day. When I'm in the gym, I feel the way I think people feel when they go to church. They're like at ease. They feel at home. There's a level of worship that goes on. So for me, I've always felt that way in a gym. I'm like, okay, I can relax. I'm going to make myself better here. And it might not be through traditional prayer, but it's through like what makes me feel good. And then I operate so much better after that. And I think a lot of people look at faith that way, whether you're Muslim or Jewish or Catholic. I think people go to church to look for that feeling and then feel a whole lot better when they leave, you know?
Yeah.
But I've never there are times where I've been at church, I'm like, this is fucking boring. I want to get it the fuck out of here. I've never been to a gym and left and been like, you know, I really shouldn't have done that. I don't think anybody ever has.
Yeah.
No one's left a gym and been like, shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Yeah.
You know?
But sometimes it does take some time to get started, even in a workout. You know, the first 15 minutes can suck.
Yeah.
I would challenge you one time to come to church with me, Christian church, man. So I grew up, I was a mess. I was a disaster. I was an Italian Jew. Mom's Jewish, dad extremely Catholic.
Okay.
My life was a disaster. Couldn't figure it out. Didn't believe in either one.
Really?
And now I'm a Christian.
And now neither of them try to push the other one on you.
No. And they got divorced. I think a big reason why was because of the difference in faith too.
Really?
Yeah. But just recently, you know, so God has been a very, he's been a huge influence in my life. Specifically in like 2017, 2018, I had some things that, you know, really changed the trajectory of my life, and I couldn't get out of the hole I was in without him. And kind of like found my way to where like now I'm really dedicating and leaning, you know, my life to him. But I was thinking about it the other day. I almost feel like a saved savage because I have this like savage mentality like in the gym, and then like, you know, Christianity and just religion in general is really all about love and leading with like humility and love. And I'm trying to like blend these two because it's tough. When I'm in the gym, dude, I'm a dog. I'm a real dog. You know what I mean? Like I'm getting after it, and you know, I'm trying to find that delicate balance between the two. So I'm gonna coin the Save Savage as you know what I'm going with.
Dude, I honestly, like, I see and know a lot of people. I have some friends who did a couple years in the hole, in the pen, and you know, they found God. You know, I don't give a fuck who your God is, as long as you respect everybody else's version of it.
Yes.
I tell people that all the time. I think there's a beauty to religion. If you don't respect other people's religion and other people's worship, I mean, that's why it's kind of hard to get behind a lot of this radical Muslim shit. It's like, listen, you guys want to do it, go do it. Who gives a shit? But it shouldn't impede on anybody else's version of what they want to do. I think people need faith. I think people need, just like you said, you went through a hard time and you found God, and you need that. Dude, 2011, 2012 for me, like after I left the show and I had some, you know, I got canceled before it was even a fucking thing. You know, that was hard for me. I had, within a 6-month period, I got basically canceled. I tore my shoulder and my pec working out, so I couldn't really work out. I broke up with my girlfriend at the time. So it was all this shit. So I remember, and this is one of those times where I turned to my God. I open up the cabinet and I'm like, I'm just going to fucking take all this shit, because if I take all this, I hopefully won't wake up. And it's the easiest way to go. I'm not going to jump off a fucking bridge or something and regret it halfway down. So I went outside. I put my running shoes on. I went outside, and my arm was still in a sling because I had just torn my shoulder and stuff. And I just went for the longest walk I could.
So you didn't take the pills?
No.
Okay, good.
I didn't take anything.
I was going to say that would have been a
because I
wild
said,
run.
because if this doesn't work out, I'm going to probably fuck myself up, and now I got to live with this. So instead of making my situation worse, why don't I chalk up a win? And a win would be going in for a walk or doing something that'll make me feel better. And then after I went for the walk, I had a healthy, like I just had some like chicken and rice and stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, let me see how many wins I could chalk up before I make my life any worse. And, you know, that's why it's always like the little things take care of the big things. And it's like, chalk up this one, chalk up that one. And yes, you're going to get kicked in the dick, because you have no idea how many opportunities and chances I've had at so many great things that get snatched away because of some accusation that I had when I was fucking 25, 26 years old. And it's fucking hard to deal with. Like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars I had lost over this shit. And it was hard. And I was just like, you know what? I can't wait for other people to give me opportunities. I'm just going to create my own. And I'm just going to keep trying to win and win as much as I could and do the things that feel good. And if I could rack up, it's just like, you know, the scale. If I could put as much good shit in here, then it'll hopefully outweigh the bad shit. You know?
Yeah. So that was would you identify as like being depressed at that time?
Oh,
100%.
dude.
Right?
Yeah. And, you know, I didn't want to at the time, I really didn't have the money to do it. I was going through a lawsuit with my old gym. You know, it was a fucking nightmare. So I didn't even have the money to go see a doctor to go get pills.
Right.
You know, and I wasn't going to call some junkie I knew, because I don't trust them.
Right.
So I was like, I got to figure this out on my own. Same way I did the last time. I was like, I just got to figure it out on my own. That's why I'm pretty independent with stuff. You know, I had partners in my first 2 gyms and I lost both of them. So everybody's like, hey man, you want to go in on this gym? I go, fuck no. I don't fuck with other people when it comes to that stuff because I'm a workhorse and I'm willing to work around the clock day in and day out. And other people, this happened both times, they get lax and they don't want to do shit, but they want half the money. And this is why I got a bad name when I was on television, is because I'm cutting all the deals. I'm making everything happen. I'm winning the fucking events. And then somebody's like, all right, we're going to chop up the money. I'm like, no. The fuck you getting? It's like if somebody comes to your job one day and goes, hey, I'm just going to sit here, kick my feet up. You do all the shit and then we'll cut the check at the end of the day. It's like, no, we're not. That's not how this fucking works. You know? So everybody will always be like, you be a dickhead to people. I'm like, yeah, I was a dickhead to the people who don't work, whether they were a guy or a girl. I don't give a fuck. Like, if you're going to help me shovel shit, then yeah, let's go. But if you're not willing to do all the bullshit, then you don't get half the money. Right. You know?
Yeah, no, I think it's a huge lesson just for anybody who's even struggling with any level of anxiety, depression, because, you know, that riddles society these days. But, you know, I do believe that, you know, movement is medicine, right? You hear that all the time. And, you know, we have a company, Action Cultivates Excellence, because the most important thing is not talking about the things that you're going to do. It's about taking action on the things that you're going to do.
Well,
and everyone can take control of their body.
And it's scientifically proven you could only hold on to an emotion for X amount of minutes. It's not long, right? So you could have that feeling of depression and sadness and it'll come back. But it's like, I believe, I forget what it was. I read a book on it and it was like, it's only like a 2-minute window. So it's like, if you could take action when you start to feel that way, if you're like, so for instance, what I teach people to do in the gym is when people come in, especially in the morning, and you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm like, all right, how could I get your central nervous system? How could we biologically figure this out and neurologically figure this out? So I'm like, all right, grab a ball, throw it up against the wall, right? And then jump on the bike and give me like 5 minutes. And it's just like this little stuff. And you start to get your heart rate up and you start to feel good. You're releasing these endorphins. So now chemically in your body, you're starting to feel better than what you did when you first came in. And I tell people, like, for me, it's like, I don't like, because I've done it for so long, like any central nervous system, CNS stuff, like throwing balls or doing band work. I'll jump in. I love doing anything with arms. I'm sure arms.
Oh,
so I'm sure you're the same way. So, right. So I'll start doing some like tricep press downs or do some lat pull downs or something like that. And I'll do a set of 20 or 30. Now you got the blood flowing, you got a little bit of a pump. You're like, all right, okay, I'm ready to go now. And that's when you start to get into that flow state. And you're like, now you could start to jive with it. And a lot of times, one of the things I'll argue with a lot of like younger trainers is they're like, oh, well, shouldn't I have a program? I go, yes. In the beginning, you should learn how to have a program and try to follow it as much as you can. But for me, because I've been doing it for so long, I have clients, you know, very wealthy people who are like, I don't feel like doing anything. I'm like, all right, what do you want to do? What do you feel like doing? They're like, I'll do some squats. I'm like, all right, let's start with some squats. Let's just start with that. You know, they're better off doing the stuff that they feel like doing at that moment than not doing anything at all or half-assing the shit that you're forcing them to do.
Dude, that is so simple and something I've never heard from another trainer.
What?
I've never heard that before. Like, you basically ask the client how they want to start if they're kind of in a rut or whatever, and you see that they're like mentally down. You're like, wait, what do you want to start with? And then you just start with that.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, because a lot of people think that you have to, there's these guardrails up and you have to stay within the guardrails. When in reality, it's like, whether I'm doing kettlebell squats or back squats, it's like my body doesn't know the difference. It's going to respond to the stress. So obviously a barbell on my back is going to be more of a stressor than me holding a kettlebell. But you're still getting the same effect, right? So let them do something. Something's better than nothing.
Yeah, I think that's genius, actually, on because I've heard, look, fitness, and especially my boy Pat Damiano, he's a kettlebell king. He'd be a great person for you to connect with, by the way, if you haven't. He always says, you know, like, I don't care if you're doing a yoga class. I don't care if you're biking. I don't care if you're walking. Do something that you like. So he's definitely saying that. But I think for a lot of people who have trainers, I've never talked to another trainer that have said, yo, look, let's start with what it is that you want. Forget about the program. We'll work the program into things. But that would be such an enticing thing for, I think, the everyday person to walk in the gym, even if you have a program in front of you that you don't necessarily want to follow A to Z. Start with the thing that you like. I like that. Very simple, too. Sure. Very simple takeaway.
It's super simple. Like, a lot of, like, I think it's just a lazy trainer move. It's like, all right, jump on the treadmill or the bike and give me 5 minutes. It's like, why? They don't want to do that.
They don't want to do that.
Yeah. Like they know that's coming.
Yep,
Give them,
yep.
Be like, hey, what do you want to do? You want to do something fun? You want to hit the bag for a minute? Put the gloves on, hit the bag for a minute, get your heart rate up, get a little aggression out, and move from there.
All right, so I can see where your mental is at. It was very clear, the moment I met you, and I can resonate with that. But obviously, you're a very accomplished trainer. So how do you approach the mental side of things for your clients? Right, a lot of fitness is placed on pushing physical limits, but also breaking into somebody's mental is extremely important. Yeah. For somebody who doesn't have the same thought process that you and I have to just go.
Yeah.
How do you kind of work them through this?
I think what I always tell people is you have to get them to fall in love with it. You have to get them to understand that there's really no downside to it. If you're going to the gym, it's only upside. The hardest thing about going to the gym is actually going to the gym. Right? The hardest thing is like getting off the couch, leaving work, sitting in traffic and being like, all right, I'm just going to go. I deal with it myself. I deal with it all the time. There's a lot of times I don't want to go to jiu-jitsu, but as soon as I get there, I'm like, all right, great. I'm here. I'm going to do the work. And what I love about that is like, you have to be into it. You can't avoid, you can't like kind of days off.
Get hurt.
Yeah. So, for me, but even in the gym, like I think people just need to find what they enjoy and that's why I encourage people to do anything. Whether it's a dance class, a spin class, yoga, Pilates. Listen, at the end of the day, if you want to change your physiology, yes, you're going to have to push weight. But on a daily basis, you're better off doing something than nothing. Fill the tank a little bit. If my goal is to get to California and all I have is a half a tank of gas, all right, well, I'm going to ride the car as far as I can. So get as far as you can, put a little gas in the tank, get as far as you can, and then if you got to walk the rest of the way, fucking start walking.
It's a long walk,
because you're only gonna get there if you keep moving.
Life is a long walk.
Yeah, I think getting them to fall in love with it. I think there's two aspects that I really push in the gym. If I could get them to build muscle, then they're gonna aesthetically start to look in the mirror and start to believe in themselves. And the second thing is I push community, where it's like nobody ever works out alone. You're either working out with a trainer or we pair you up with somebody. And the importance of that is like somebody to keep you accountable. Somebody who's like, oh, are you still going? Oh, I'll meet you there or whatever it is. I see it every day on a daily basis, like nonstop for 10 plus years. You see somebody work so much harder for somebody else than themselves. Hey, get on the rower, give me 1,000 meters as fast as you guys can. If I were to be like, hey, Dave, jump on, do an hour, do 1,000 meters, you're going to kind of lax. If I was like, hey, I'm going to do it with you. You do the first 500, I'll do the back 500. You're going to get 30 to 40% more out of that workout because we did it together. If we were like, hey, we're going to take a walk around the block, we're really not emptying the tank here. But if I was like, hey, you want to race around the block? We're going to get more out of it. We're going just, you're not going to, people always are like, count everything in calories or how much muscle you could build. But I think the chemical response that you get and the, what happens with your brain and your heart and your lungs and everything else, like getting all that stuff going, it's pretty unmatched when it comes to anything else.
That's one of my favorite things when it comes to the fitness industry in general. I have a lot of individuals that we work with that struggle with addiction, whether it's drug addiction, porn addiction, alcohol, whatever vice it is. When you actually teach them that the same dopamine release happens in the brain and those endorphins kick in, it's very similar to you getting high. When you jump in that cold plunge, one of my boys, Joe K, swears by it. He's he's in recovery, and he always tells people, I didn't really know what cold plunging was. He's like, I saw Joe Rogan do it. I'm like, all right, he's fit and jacked. Like, I want to kind of do that. He saw that he cold plunged. When he jumped into that cold plunge for the very first time, changed his whole life, Kenny.
Yeah.
He was like, that was the same feeling that I got when I was, getting high.
There's almost a level of torture there that most people would see it as. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing in the gym. When you're grinding through a rep and you're like, oh, fuck, this burns. Like, it's a form of torture, but there's an end game to it, right? There's a perk at the end. If I could withstand this, then I'm growing both physically and mentally.
Right.
So that's why I treat it like a church, because it gives me the same level of faith in myself that I should have in a higher power, that most people have in a higher power.
I love that. Are you looking to elevate your brand with captivating visuals and immersive sound? Look no further than the home of the No Snooze podcast, Kai Visions Productions, your go-to destination for cutting-edge audio and video production. At Kai Visions, we don't just create content, we create experiences that leave a lasting impact. From podcasts, YouTube variety shows, sleek corporate videos, to attention-grabbing promotional campaigns, our team of experts is dedicated to turning your vision into reality. Choose Kai Visions for a production experience like no other. It's time to make your brand known. Contact us today at kaivisions@gmail.com or find us on Instagram at Kai Visions. Kai Visions Productions, where audio-visual excellence meets innovation. Now, back to the Epi. So you've turned your passion for fitness into a very thriving business. When did you first realize that fitness wasn't just a career, but it was going to be your full-time calling?
I think in like 2009, 2010, I just had gotten a job. I was doing it here and there, but like I finally got a job at Equinox. And I remember having a full book of clients and tell my dad, I'm like, I think I want to do this full time. He's like, what are you, a fucking idiot? You're not going to make any money doing this. This is the stupidest job. He goes, what are you going to do when you're 50? I'm like, and I remember saying to him, I'm like, I'm hoping to be good at this so I can make real money from it. Because I knew there were people out there. Like Gunnar Peterson has always been like one of these guys I idolized, because I remember like when I was in high school, college, I got the Sly Moves book. This Sylvester Stallone book, and he just talks about how much he loved Gunnar Peterson, and he was all over this book, and I'm like, dude, if I could be a trainer like that, that'd be sick. So for me, I was just like, all right, I'm just going to try to be really good at this, and I didn't have like a safety net. Like my family doesn't have any money. My father died. It cost me money to bury him, and so I was like, no matter what I do, I have to be good at it, because I don't have anybody else. All my grandparents are dead. My dad passed away. Most of my aunts and uncles are gone. So I'm like, nobody's left me shit. There's not some, pot at the end of this fucking rainbow. So I'm like, I just got to fucking work my ass off. And I was like, all right, well, if I'm going to work my ass off to the day I die, I want to do something I enjoy. And I really enjoyed it. Like I remember like showing up to work and being like, I actually like doing this. And no one ever had to tell me to go to the gym. No one ever had to tell me to show up. I just always did it. And all the other shit that I did on the side, I was going to like the Perform Better summits and all these extra things like kettlebell seminars and all this stuff. And this is like 2010, 2011. I was like, fuck, I really like this shit. Like I wanted to learn it. I wanted to be involved in it. And I couldn't understand why the other trainers weren't doing it. But I'm like, great. I'm glad nobody else is doing it, because I'm just going to know all this shit. I'm going to have all these tools. So, and that's what happened. That's kind of how I came up with the event too, because I was going to all this shit. And I was like, well, we don't have one here in New York. I should just put one here in New York.
Yeah. So, before we get too strong New York, because we're definitely going to touch on that. I didn't even know that your father had passed away, and I constantly pick my partner Sean Degnan's brain. He's my partner in Action Cultivates Excellence. He lost his father a year ago, and this man, it was about a year and a half. This man, like, you can't say he doesn't struggle with it, but to the outside, it doesn't seem like he struggles with it. Very internally, he reflects and he does a lot of like internal work on it. But this man's life has just completely like transformed, and he utilized his father's death, who was the closest person to him, to become a top 40 under 40 in business, to work out harder than he's ever worked out. He just did High Rocks, speaking of High Rocks All-Fair, just ran 2 half marathons back to back, right? In a time where like a lot of people, I mean, more than half of society would be crippled by something like this.
Yeah.
I feel like you're similar in that aspect. How did you handle the loss of your father?
So I think what helped cushion the blow of my dad, he was sick. He had a stroke in 2018. And I think the hardest part was actually him still being there, because the first couple weeks I was going back and forth from work, sleeping in the hospital, kind of pulling him in and out of bed, this is why I'm the 101 reason why I'm obsessed with fitness is I tell people, I'm like, you never want to put somebody you love in the position that I was in. You never want to help your family, your parent or your friend or your wife or whoever it is off a fucking toilet or something. Like, it's embarrassing for them. You really don't want to do it. Yes, you do it because you have to, but don't put somebody in the position to have to do that, which sucks. So that was another thing. I'm like, listen, I don't wish that on anybody, that they have to do that for somebody they love and watch somebody fall apart like that. But what cushioned the blow was my grandmother was really sick. She died of Alzheimer's. Watching her kind of fade away sucked because we were so close with her. And then my cousin, he was a cop in Belleville, New Jersey. He died suddenly. That was hard. So I think dealing with death pretty often. My uncle, who we were really close with, died. So I watched a lot of people pass away, and you just kind of get hardened by it. So when my dad was going, and my dad was always like kind of a hard ass, and like if we were like crying and stuff, he'd be like, "Don't cry," So I always had to like bury it. So when he passed, I'm like, what would he want me to do? And it was also the fact that I don't like feeling bad for myself. I don't want other people to feel bad for me. No one knew. Nobody knew. Only a couple of people at work knew because I had to be like, hey, you guys got to cover me because I got to go to the wake and fucking all this shit. And I'm like, I can't come to work in the morning. I got to make sure my dad's okay, and then I'll come back. So very few people knew. Most people still don't even know. I never put it on Instagram. I was never like, oh, come to my dad's wake or whatever. I realized that most people in the world don't even know who their father is. And they never get 35 years with them. As much as my dad was a prick, he was always there. So I always try to think of it, hey, I was lucky enough to have him. I was lucky enough to have him as a grown man. Whether he gave me good advice or not, he still tried his best, in my opinion. I think he was trying. He just didn't know that much. So for me, I looked at all the better things, and we had him cremated and stuff, which is absolutely fucking insane how expensive that is.
Yes. Yeah.
People don't realize how expensive it is.
But it is cheaper though than
it's
doing
cheaper,
like
but you're still looking at like 15 fucking grand for the whole shindig.
Put him in the backyard.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, I don't think he'll mind. But the whole process is like very, and obviously my mom's still with us, thank God. So I didn't want to like crumble because of her.
Right.
I was like, let me just stay next to her, be by her side. The morning he died, me and my mom were at the hospital the night before I was there till 1 in the morning with my mom. And I was like, listen, I got to go to work. I got to open the gym. I was like, I'll be back around like 9, 10 o'clock. He died at like 8:30.
Wow. With her.
Yeah. So my mom was there, and I like rushed back. But yeah, it sucked. It's tough. And I kind of use that as more fuel for me to keep doing what I'm doing and to teach people like, hey, listen, I've dealt with being canceled. I dealt with tearing my shoulder. I've dealt with death. I've dealt with being sick. Like there was a point, I have a cyst on my pituitary gland. There was like a 2-week period. I'm like, oh, fuck, I might have brain cancer.
Wow.
So I dealt with all this shit, and I'm like, I'm not telling you this to feel bad for me. I'm telling you there will be hiccups and speed bumps and roadblocks and every fucking thing you could possibly imagine. I'm not saying I've had that hard of a life. I don't think I do. There's plenty of people I'd never want to trade lives with them. But you're going to deal with shit. Be prepared for it. And my goal for everyone is to be as strong as you possibly can. So on the wall of my gym, it says strong as fuck for a reason. It's like you need to be stronger than you think you ever need to be because life will hand you shit that you never thought you'd have to deal with. So that's kind of the whole thing. It's like, and I think the gateway drug to a strong person is through a strong body. If you're like, oh, when I crossed the finish line at the Ironman, I'm like, I never thought I'd be able to do that. You know, there was 2,000 people started. I think only like 1,500 crossed. Like 500 people fucking drop out.
Explain what an Ironman is.
So it's a 2.5 mile swim.
Swim.
Yeah.
My brother, I'm not doing that.
I know it's brutal. I'm not a good swimmer.
I don't think I'm floating 2.5 miles.
Yeah, no, but when I tell people I'm not a good swimmer, I'm like, I'm not a good. I've never swam that far in my life before that day. I kind of just did it to show people like, hey, you could do this on any given Sunday. You could fucking go and do it if you had to do it. And then 112-mile bike ride. And when people are like, oh, I thought it was only 100. I was like, no, it's 112. And every mile sucks because when you're at 76, 77, you're like, fuck, man. There's still so much more to go.
Even at 100, you still got 12 miles to go. Most people...
And 12 miles on a fucking bike is far. It's far.
Dude, that's atrocious.
It sucks. And then it's a full marathon after
I'm dead, bro. Yeah. How are you doing that?
Yeah, it took me 15 fucking hours.
Oh, holy shit.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal. And they only give you like 16 or 17 hours to do it.
Oh.
Yeah. And then there are people, listen, there are people who do it pretty easily now.
Yeah.
But 13 years ago wasn't as common.
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody else who was an Ironman. You know, now people are getting into this shit, and
like
they're doing
Iron Cowboys, ridiculous.
Yeah, and there's guys who are doing 100-mile races through the desert and stuff. It's like, I don't know. For me, that's overkill. I mean, they like doing. Some people are like adrenaline junkies. They like doing that shit. But I've done that. I've done CrossFit. I've done jiu-jitsu. I've wrestled. I played football. Like I like competition. Like if anybody what I loved about CrossFit was like, oh, hey, we're gonna do this workout. Let's see who does it faster. I'm like, great, this is awesome. It was like wrestling all over again. Like wrestling in high school is like 6 minutes. Wrestling in college is 7 minutes. The average CrossFit workout's like 9 minutes or 8 minutes. I'm like, oh yeah, well, let's fucking crush it, and then we'll crack a beer after. Yeah. So. Yeah.
No, I love tapping into people's mindsets. You know what I mean? And even hearing like the stuff with your father, I think it's so valuable. It must have been hard though being there for mom during that time, because when you have the mindset that you have, right? Like trying to be vulnerable. We have this whole thing with Ace where like we do believe that to be your strongest as a man, it's cool to be a physical specimen for sure, but I was only that for a long time. Yeah. And it wasn't until I started to bridge the gap between like masculinity and vulnerability that I became even stronger. And now also having a 4-year-old daughter, I got to be, a little vulnerable and soft with her. But like, how were you there for your mom at that time when you have such a mindset like you do?
Well, one of the things that I realized through that situation, I just had to swallow a lot. I didn't want her to see that I was a fucking mess too. So I just wanted her to be able to do what she needed to do. So me and my little brother, we went to, we kind of handled everything so she didn't have to. It was tough. It was tough. I tried to just go on about my day. I really didn't miss any work. Like the day of the wake and the day of the funeral, it's like, I was just like, I'm going to go to work. Just keep my mind off it. Like I just kept my mind in work mode, so I didn't have to worry about.
Do you ever fear that all that one day is just going to like
yes,
emotionally attack you?
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does pop up sometimes. Like it just like eats away at me.
Emotional warfare, right?
Yeah. And like I have to get it out. And I think, and when people are like, oh, do you ever go to therapy? I'm like, yeah, I try to go like 4 to 5 times a week. And they're like, wow, that's a lot. I'm like, oh, yeah, I go to jiu-jitsu for like 2 hours and let people fucking choke me and shit.
Yeah. Wait, so you do go to therapy 4 times a week?
No,
You're going to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
all right.
Which is my form of therapy.
Okay.
But what I learned from that situation and what I hear a lot and what I try to share with as many people as possible is everyone says, I don't want to die alone. Everyone's big fear is they don't want to die alone, and they don't want to have that regret of like sitting there by themselves and not having somebody. My mother was with my father for 46 plus years.
Wow.
They dated for 6 years before they got married. They were married for 46 years. So all my mother knows is my father, they got together in their 20s, in the 70s, and that's all they know. And my dad is hard of a guy as he was. He wouldn't go to the fucking grocery store without my mother. Like they went everywhere together. And now I watch my mother 5 years later. She's like trying to find her way and figure things out. She thought she had somebody. So my message and my my advice to a lot of people is like, yes, have that somebody, 100%. If that's what you feel completes whoever you are, sure. But don't just do it because you're like, I don't want to be alone, so I'm just going to cling to this fucking person I really don't like and live a miserable life so that when I'm 50 or 60 or 70 years old, I'm sitting there with somebody else who's also as miserable as I am. Value friendships. Friendships are so important. The people who don't have to be with you but choose to be with you, right? Like sometimes your family's stuck with you, but there are friends and people like that you'll meet throughout life who can really help you your whole life. My mom has got her little group of First Wives Club that she hangs out with, that she goes on trips with and like kind of keeps her busy. And because my grandmother, as soon as my aunt died, my grandmother fell into deep state of, you know, as soon as the mind stops working, my grandmother lived in my house after my grandfather died in 84. That's what I was named after. My grandfather died in 84. My aunt moved in with her. They were together. Then my aunt died in 2004, 2005, somewhere around there. As soon as she passed, my grandmother's brain went to fucking mush. And the advice that I give a lot of people is like your brain is a muscle like every other muscle. If I don't use my bicep, if I lock my arm up like this, it's going to start to atrophy, right? And I'm not going to use it. It's the same thing with your brain. If you're not around other people, if you're not communicating with other people and working with other people and getting stimulated by other people, then your brain is going to start to atrophy. It's scientifically proven. I didn't fucking make this up or write it. You know, people need to understand that your brain needs to work. And one of the ways your brain works is through communication with other people, listening to other people, talking to other people. If you watch, what the hell's that movie with Tom Hanks? He's locked in.
Forrest Gump?
No, the one where he's got.
Is that Tom Hanks?
No, what's
Forrest
the one
Gump?
where he's got the pineapple on the island?
Castaway.
Castaway. Like he starts to go fucking
I'm not
insane.
a movie guy.
Oh, see, I'm a
Tom
huge,
Hanks isn't fucking Forrest Gump, is he?
Yeah, he's Forrest.
Oh,
Gump.
is he?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
all right,
yeah.
good. So that was good.
Yeah.
Let's go, Dave.
But
the movie guy.
The first thing he does is creates this other
He
person.
puts like a face on him.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's like,
Oh, on a basketball he does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, volleyball.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
And he's like talking to this thing because that's what's keeping him,
Right.
in a way, alive. You know, you need somebody else there. I watched this documentary a couple of years back. They were talking about this kid who gets locked up. They throw him in Rikers Island, then gets lost in the system, and he ends up in some other, they put him in regular jail, then they put him in solitary confinement, and they tested his brain through both, both in regular lockdown and then in solitary confinement. And when you're not around anybody else, within 24 to 48 hours, your brain starts to atrophy. So it's like, use that muscle as much as you can. Communicate with other people. Hang out with other people. A lot of people get married, move to the suburbs. They're fuck, I don't want to be around anybody else. I'm like, well, as much as you don't want to, it's the same as going to the gym. As much as you don't want to go, it's what's going to be your lifeline. So hang out with as many people as you can. Be friends with other people. Be forgiving to other people. It's very much like religion, right? Extend the olive branch to as many people as you can. Forgive and forget. Move on. You know, people are important. As much as people are like, I don't want to be around other people. Well, there's a reason why the city I just came from has 10 million people on a fucking island, half the size of this, this town, right? Yeah. Like when you think about it, people want to be around other people. They don't even realize it. You know, if that were the case, I was just in the Bahamas. There's about 12,000 people that live there. It's a much more beautiful place than New York. But everybody lives in New York and doesn't live in the Bahamas.
That's very true. Yeah, we're all sick. Honestly, New Yorkers are sick when you think about it, because it's like there are so many places in the world that like you want to go, and always it's like, but I really don't want to live there. Like I love being on a beach. I love it. I love it. But like I don't know if I really can live on a beach because I'm addicted to the hustle and bustle of New York.
Me too.
You know what I mean?
My dream was always to like, I'm going to move to the Jersey Shore one day because at least I'm still close enough to the city. And then every time I'm down there and I think about moving there, I'm like, no. This would suck on a Tuesday. This would be fucking miserable.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Strong New York, man, and your community impact. Creating Strong New York, and now I love the name because of everything you just mentioned before. That's a huge endeavor. What was the initial spark behind the event?
So at the time, 2015, I was working with Reebok, I was working with Fit Aid, I was working with a lot of these brands, and like even the big brands. Like last year, we worked with Adidas, was our big sponsor, and their initiative was to they were like, we want to become embedded more in the community and have more interaction with like boots on the ground. You know, even the biggest brands, you're seeing these huge brands trying to infiltrate these like run clubs and community-based things, because that's where people are going. That's what you want. You want people. So I was telling them, I was like, hey, why don't we do like a fitness event? Like because I had just gotten back from the LA Fit Expo with 2 guys from Reebok. And I go, we should do something like that in New York.
Does James happen to be one of them?
James
McMillan?
Oh yeah, James is my guy.
Yeah. So I grew up in Mount Vernon, New York with James.
Oh no shit.
Yeah. So
you guys are about the same age.
We've been trying to, we're the exact same age.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what a monster.
Dude, he's so fucking impressive.
He's a monster.
He's my guy.
He's been jacked his whole life.
I know.
But he was also like, you know, we both dealt with different things coming up, but even like bullying and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Mount Vernon was not the easiest place to grow up.
Yeah,
man.
no, I know it's not a fucking.
But yeah, no, I'm curious because you said Reebok, and that made me think of we called him JT growing up.
Yeah, dude, I love him.
Yeah,
he's such a good guy. He's one of those people where I'm like, how the fucking internet has not found him. You know, he should be so much above where he's actually at. And he does great for himself. God bless him. But, you know, he's just, I've never seen somebody more jacked. Like he makes the rest of us, if anytime he's got his shirt off, I was like, I'm putting mine back on.
Yeah, absolutely.
It looks like the rest of us don't know how to work out.
He makes mannequins look bad.
Yeah, he's so stupidly jacked. Like it's crazy. It doesn't make any sense.
James, like, keep yourself humble, my brother. All right, we're pumping you up here, but keep yourself humble, man.
Yeah, he was my first guest on my show.
Yeah,
him and Zoe. But yeah, so for me, you know, I just wanted to create something that I could. I never set out to be like, oh, this is what I'm going to leave behind, but I think it's going to hopefully be the thing that I leave behind that'll keep growing beyond whatever I could have imagined it to grow. But I wanted to be like this family event where people could learn and grow, and I could help small businesses because I'm a small business owner, and I could help big businesses, and I could help people grow their brand and their lives, and just kind of put it all under one roof. It's like everything I believe in under one roof and like for one day. So it was kind of just the natural course of things for me. It's like I like going to these things, I do them, and I get an idea of like what should be done. And there wasn't one in New York. It's how there's never been in one in New York is crazy. But last year we had the biggest fitness event that New York's ever seen, which was like 3,300 people. And this year we're trying to get to like 5,000. You know, and every day I just try to make it a little bit better. And any money that comes in from it, it was like, oh, you're killing it. I'm like, every dime I make, I put back into this.
Try running an event in New York.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Dude, just the space alone.
Yeah.
I argued with the fucking people who run the space, these fucking cheap dickheads. The space alone for the day is like $120,000.
Wow.
For one fucking day. So when I hear they're like, oh, well, you can't have that day because somebody's having a wedding. I'm like, who's this fucking idiot? Like, why would you? That? Yeah, why would you pay? That's for the venue. That's not even for the food.
Wow.
So now you're thinking like $120,000 for the venue, and that's like the lights and the bullshit and security and all that. And now you got to bring in food.
Right.
I don't like myself that much to have a wedding that big. That's fucking crazy.
So in a world full of fitness events now, right? Like, what do you think makes strong New York stand out?
You know, people ask me that all the time. They're like, what differentiates you guys from everybody else? I'm like, well, we were the first to market when it comes to New York. But different than that, it's a flair of a little bit of everything. You know, if you go to the Arnold, which I think is like the biggest one, it's very bodybuilding centric. It's very, you know, supplements and brands. And I love the sport side of it. I love that they have powerlifting, bodybuilding, and all this stuff. To go to Columbus, Ohio,
right?
Why the fuck would you ever go there other than that event? For that. You know? And I joke around about it all the time. I'm like, there's nothing in Columbus, Ohio for anyone. That's why most people go there, go to college, and then fucking leave. So I wanted to put it in the greatest city in the world, where most of these brands are. If you look at a lot of the big Tonals and Peloton and all, they're all New York City based trainers. I know most of these people, you know, whether they want to act like they don't know me back.
Big time.
Yeah. Anybody who gets on one of these jerk off apps and stuff, they always think they fucking solved the Rubik's Cube or something. But for anybody who knows, it's like, you know, fitness, a lot of like fitness culture starts in New York and LA too, but like bleeds from New York. So I'm like, if I can make this event cool in New York, I can make it cool anywhere. And I wanted it to be as simple and clean as possible. It's like strength is everything people should get behind. And New York is a city that undeniably is everyone's number one destination if you've never been here. So I wanted to attach like a cool brand to it and, you know, make it this event where people had the opportunity to grow. I think what back to your story, what differentiates us is like, I actually want to leverage people's brands and who they are at my event. So a girl I know who's got this like kettlebell event, she reached out to me and she's like, hey, I'd really love to blow my brand up at yours. I'm like, let's do it. Let's do it. If I could use what I've built to help people accelerate their business, that's what I want to do. And I don't think any other brands or any other place is doing that. They're always taking like the upper echelon and they're like, oh, well, that'll help us sell more tickets and stuff. And at the end of the day, I still need to sell more tickets, but I do want to help these smaller people kind of come up, you know, and there's a lot of people that I've helped with that who don't reciprocate, but I don't do it for that. If it happens, great. But I want to be able to like create this funnel where people look at it as an opportunity to be like, oh, if I get there, then I could grow from there.
You know, I can attest to that because one thing that Kenny said to me very early on, I think we were on the phone, and people could take what you say, they could take what I say because we have a certain demeanor about us. And maybe they take it in the wrong context. But you basically said that to me. You were like, dude, I would love to have you on my podcast because nobody knows who the fuck you are. People love those stories, you know, and it's very true. And you know, instead of like being like offended by it, I'm like, no, this is really dope. And then hearing it in a business level, it just makes so much sense. And the fact that your brand can help so many other small brands come up is genius.
But it's I don't think anybody knows who the fuck. Like even for me, I was on television when television was actually still a thing. When I have people who walk in my gym who are like YouTubers and Instagram people, and people in my gym are like, oh my God, you know who that is? I'm like, I have no fucking clue. No, like maybe I'm fucking old and I'm not hip and cool and shit. But, you know, we were out the other night at this restaurant in the city, and I was with two of my buddies who go to my gym, one of the girls who works for me, and they're like, oh, that's fucking this gun and that one. And I'm like, how do you guys know all these fucking people? Yeah. Like this guy and that guy. And I was like, I don't know who the fuck these people are. Everybody's famous now. And you could have 4, 5, 11 million followers and people still don't know who you are. So it doesn't matter who it is. It's like, how do we bring you to the forefront? How do the people who need to know who you are, how do we get them to know you?
Collaboration. So important. I love that. I really do love that approach. Shout out to Yorktown Jewelers, the best in the game. Serving Westchester for over 16 years. This family-owned business is built on a foundation of respect and honesty. Run by a father and son team, Myron and Mike, both men are rooted in strong morals and integrity, making them a trusted name in the community. Whether you're looking for timeless pieces or something unique, Yorktown Jewelers offers exceptional quality, a wide selection, and unbeatable pricing. When you shop here, you're not just getting great value. You're supporting a business that truly cares about its customers. For all your jewelry needs, head to Yorktown Jewelers, where trust, craftsmanship, and service shine bright. Something I guess that most people wouldn't know is I guess you're deeply involved in raising awareness for some health causes, right?
I mean, every year we partner with a different charity event.
Yeah, that's
for
dope.
the event. So we've given over $100,000 to different charity events.
Like, what are some of the charities?
So Breast Cancer Research Foundation, we gave a bunch of money to the first couple of years because there was a client of mine in the gym. She had like 6 rounds of breast cancer. Yeah, she kept getting it. It was crazy. They removed her breast and she was still getting it. It was crazy. So that was kind of the first initiative to kind of help her out. And then we worked with the Alzheimer's Association because my dad, after he had the stroke, and my grandmother had it, so it kind of runs in my family as much as, that it's inherited or we have that gene. So I was like, all right, let's give some money to a cause that we were starting to learn, or we now know that could be prevented through exercise and taking care of yourself and eating better. So I'm like, all right, this is what we do. Let's help this and build more awareness into, that side of things. Obviously, anything involving kids and, children's obesity and stuff, I'm always like, yeah, give them some fucking money. Let's do it. And then last year we partnered with the Release Recovery Foundation, which my buddy Zach Clark, he created, suffered from addiction. And I think there's a direct relationship to that. Like, you have an addictive personality and, I think we gave him like 20 grand last year or something. So every year from the event, we donate a portion of that to a different charity, just because there needs, I don't think you should do anything without having some sort of like give back to the community. So we did that with them because I was like, dude, this makes perfect sense. People who are suffering from addiction, get them addicted to something that's only going to make them better. And you see so many people do it. And there was, when he had, I started training Zach probably like 3 years ago. And that was one of the first things we talked about, was how addicted to running he is. He loves to run. And I was like, it's a way better, safer addiction than what he was doing. And I had met me and a couple of his buddies and stuff, and guys he grew up with who suffered from addiction, and guys he works with. I don't have that gene. I don't have that. So like, we'd go out to eat and they're like, you could drink. I'm like, guys, I don't really drink that much. I don't do anything. And they're like, you could have just one drink and stop. I'm like, yeah, I could take a sip and probably not finish it. The only reason I feel compelled to finish is because it was $25. Right. They were like, dude, if I had a sip of alcohol,
it's over. Ends with a needle in the arm.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. He goes, dude,
I'm robbing your house.
Yeah. Yep. He's like, I'll wind up with a needle in my arm in the gutter tomorrow. And I was like, fuck, that's crazy. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know what that's like, and I can't sympathize with it. I can sympathize with losing a parent. I could sympathize with, getting fucking your reputation ripped out of your fucking soul. I could relate to 100 other things.
I don't think you mean sympathize. You mean resonate.
Resonate, yeah.
Yeah.
Empathize, right? So I get that. I don't know what that would feel like. So it's hard for me to understand that. So I'm like, well.
Yeah, I love the way you're using your influence to impact, man. And it has a deeper connection to you, which I think is fire, super dope. Let's talk about the TV personality a little bit, man. So you obviously gained national traction in a time with MTV where these shows were booming. You were on what, Road Rules?
I was on the challenge. Yeah, so
challenge.
I got on. I was like a finalist for one of the Real Worlds.
And Real World, right?
Yeah, back in 2004, 2005, and then got on a show in 2005 that they had just merged a bunch of these new people with a bunch of the old people to like compete against each other. And I never thought I'd be back on it. It wasn't like a thing for me. At the time, if you would ask me, oh, would you rather do this or WWE? I wish I would have fucking given a swing of the WWE thing, because I was obsessed with that for the longest time. So for me, I got on the show and I was like, I did one and I took second place and I was like, I'll probably never be back. My second show, I was one of the first people sent home. It was the only time I've been sent home early.
Were you pissed?
Every other show, I was fucking pissed because I trained my ass off for that. Wow. I got down to like 175 for that. And that was the lightest I've ever been on any of the shows. And I should have been heavier. I should have been thicker. So for me, every show after that, I just trained harder, worked harder, did puzzles, dumb shit. Like just train. You have to be good at everything. And that's what I loved about CrossFit was like, oh, okay, I'm going to learn how to climb a rope. I'm going to learn how to move heavy weight. I'm going to learn how to run long distance. I'm going to learn how to like be good in like short bursts. So that's why I fell in love with CrossFit, and I was doing that a lot. And it was unconventional. It wasn't like go to the gym, press this barbell off your chest. It was like do all this other crazy shit. So for me, it's like, yeah, I excelled at it. I got pretty good at it. I was good at the political side of the game. I was good at the physical side of the game. You know, most people never wanted me to get to the end because they knew if it was a foot race, I was going to win. And I don't think because I'm good at endurance, I just don't know when to turn it off. And when I was racing, I remember vividly multiple situations. I remember going neck and neck with somebody, and I'm like, I'm not racing them. I'm not. I'm racing myself. How much fucking pain could I deal with right now so that I win this? Right? And I'm just like, and when I started to like think like that, literally as I'm thinking it, it's like I'm etching ahead. And it's demoralizing. They're like, because we got 100-pound sandbag on our back, or we're carrying these fucking racks on our back with water in them and shit, and you can't spill the water. And I'm like, I'm just gonna fucking kill everybody at this. You know?
If I die doing it.
Yeah, and I was just a dog when it came to the end.
Yeah.
So I won 3. I took second 3 times, and I only did 8 shows. Wow. So I got sent home early once, and then one time we got disqualified. So it's like I should have won. You know, if looking at the looking back, I should have probably won like 4 out of the 8 times that I did it.
Would you say that the TV experience, especially with MTV, helped or hindered, kind of where you are today? Because you did go through that rough patch.
Yeah. A little bit of both. I think some of the best things in my life happened because I was on television, and obviously the worst thing that's ever been, to me, I couldn't have, the only thing worse would be like being a fucking child molester or something, right? Like taking advantage of people is not what I do. Clearly it's one person making a fucking accusation in the 800,000 things I've done in my life. If I was fucking Epstein and there was 1,000 people being like, this guy's a piece of shit, I'd be like, all right, maybe I should fucking really look in the mirror.
Yeah.
You know? But this was one bullshit thing 20 fucking years ago now. But whatever, you deal with it. And I think I got dealt that card, or God gave me that to like maybe humble me in a way, or, put me on the trajectory. Cause I'd probably still be on television doing all that shit. And I look at my career on television, I'm guessing like a lot of athletes who are our age or in and around our age look at college athletes now, right? Like everybody who's on the show now gets all these endorsements and they have all these deals. I look at these stupid fucking reality shows where these people are like making so much money off all these endorsements and stuff. When I was on TV, we were the only thing, but we were looked at as second-class citizens too, like real celebrities. Now it's like I was at this Planet Hollywood event. They reopened Planet Hollywood in the city, and they treat these like reality stars the same way they treat the real celebrities. It's crazy. So yeah, I was there at a shit time. But it was great. I mean, I had a lot of great memories from it. I met a lot of great people from my best friend I met on the show. 2 of my best friends I met on the show. It opened up a lot of doors for me. But yeah, it was that one thing. And to tell you the truth, it's like you could think about it all day long, like what if, but I made the best of the situation that I was dealt and, kept moving. Absolutely. And there was a lot of times, like you said, I mean, there's a lot of times when somebody rips your fucking reputation from you, and one of the other reasons why I love jiu-jitsu and stuff, there's John Danaher, who's like Gordon Ryan's coach, who's looked at and revered as the #1 jiu-jitsu practitioner in the world. He's like, he goes, your reputation is only how people perceive you, and that could be taken from you at any moment. He goes, but your skills are something that no one could ever take from you. So I try to constantly work on my skill on the mat, my skill in business, my skill dealing with people. So I try to work on my skills because those are the things that you can't take from me. Whether I'm in fucking prison or I'm, thriving in a business, I have those skills. So I push as hard as I do to learn more skills and become better at who I am and not worry about my reputation as much. I think getting that ripped away from me made me much more scrappy. So,
yeah, it's often the thing that we struggle with in life the most that ends up being the thing to propel us forward.
For sure. Yeah, me being fat, me dealing with that.
You've helped now how many people with something that you struggled with. And I think a lot of people need to realize, I actually had a speaking engagement this weekend, and that was a strong part of my message, that the thing that you're currently struggling with now, if you choose to overcome that and change that, will be the thing that you become a powerhouse and major influence in helping others.
Yeah.
But a lot of people get crippled by it.
Yeah, and I tell people the story. There was a point where I was sleeping in my car, 2011, 2012, somewhere around there. And I tell people that story not to be like, oh, I feel bad for me. No, I'm like, at that time, I remember sitting in the car and be like, this will be the time I talk about and tell people like I overcame that. And it sucks, but at the same time, it's like it gets you hungry. It makes you hungry, right? It was like, that's the fuel I needed at that point to fucking keep going. And I remember when I signed my first lease for my apartment by myself, it was like 2014, 2015, around there. I had signed the lease for an apartment. I had a shit little apartment. It was probably smaller than this space, but I'm like, fuck, I did it. What's next? You know? And now people walk in my apartment in the city and they're like, oh, this is nice. I'm like, fuck this. Wait till you see the next one. Yeah.
No, I love your perspective. Business, man, give me a couple things that you know to be true in terms of just building business in general, right? You spoke a lot about connections and community, right? I love what you said even about your principle in the gym. Like, no one works out alone. And I think in business, community is the most important thing, because if you don't have a community behind you, you really have nothing. Yeah. You could become a CEO tomorrow after you create your little LLC, but the title doesn't mean anything. So it's got to be really driven in passion. So what would you say for you has been, the greatest, I guess, attribute to building business?
Having good people around you, for sure. I think everything's a people business. I don't care if you're the camera operator, the owner of a hotel, a gym owner. It doesn't matter. It all boils down to like who you have around you. You're only as strong as your weakest link, and you have to, understand that you don't do anything alone. You need people to run the business. You need people to buy into what you're doing. So it's always a service business. And when you start to look at business like, how could I provide the best possible product for my clientele? Like, I love fitness, and I'm like, how do I provide the best possible product? Well, I need to be as versed as I can be in everything in the fitness industry. I need to be able to answer any question that people might have for me. I should have the best equipment for my clients. I should be able to provide them with anything and everything they need. And taking care of those little things will take care of the big things. Then I'll have clients, then I'll have people coming in. You want to be the right person at the right time. You could be at the right place at the right time, but you might not be the right person for it. But also having those people around you who have the confidence in you that you're going to do what you need to do, and building them up. Like, I can't do this alone. As you start to grow, I mean, anybody. Like, when people talk about Jeff Bezos and, one of my clients is a very big tech guy. He sold a massive piece of software for billions of dollars. And even him, he's like, I had a partner. He goes, I don't know anything about the business side. But he's looked at as like the guy. He's like, but I wouldn't have been able to do it without him. He funded the thing. He made it happen. He cut all the deals. He's like, but when it comes to the business side, he's like, I don't know, fuck all. And I think people really need to understand where their strengths lie. For me, I'm not. So Christy, who works for me, has been my right-hand woman for the past 8 years.
She's great, by the way.
She's amazing.
Just in terms of the communication, and
she'll
awesome.
Answer things and be on top of things before I even think of them. She's so good at logistics, and I'm horrible. I can't keep a fucking calendar for life. If somebody's like, hey, put that date on your calendar, I'm like, text Christy. Because even that is going to be, I'm going to fuck that up. I'm going to put it on the wrong day or something. She's so good with that stuff. And like, if she's ever fucked up, I think it's been twice in 8 years. So having somebody like that, like realizing like, hey, I'm not good at that. I need somebody who's really good at that. We actually we had a conference call with my sister because my sister wants to leave for a job. She's got 4 kids. And I was like, well, we'll bring you on. And my sister's the same way. She's like a dog. She'll just fucking work her ass off. And she's super always like, she was the type of person I couldn't stand when we were growing up, because she'd get up like 2 hours early, read a chapter in a book, take a shower, fucking sit around the house, have a cup of coffee. And I'm like, how the fuck do you live like that? Like, I run out of the house in the morning because I'm going to be late. So like, her and Chrissy are very similar in that regard. So I'm like, all right, I need more people like that, because I'm so bad at that, and I'm more like, put me in front of a camera, make me do the relationship thing, because I'm more of a people person. So I think, having the right people around you, knowing your strengths, taking care of those little things, and really just trying to provide the best possible product. If you're doing it, I see so many people walk in the gym, they're like, oh, I want to have a gym one day. I go, I'll sell you mine. You'll skip 1,000 mistakes. And they're like, no, I want something bigger. I want to put fucking marble tiles everywhere and fucking have 12 bathrooms and shit. I go, well, that's why I know you're a fucking idiot, because none of that shit makes you money. And I go, somebody's going to have to pay for that, and that idiot's going to be you. So before you start spending all that shit, why don't you build a community first, right? And I said this years ago. I was like, you need to build the community, because you could get people to work out fucking anywhere, right? Like during the pandemic was a perfect example of that. There was a day I had probably 80 people in the park running and doing push-ups and bullshit. People didn't give a fuck. They just wanted to be around other people and work out. You're seeing that now. All these like run clubs across the country, around the world. People are just like, oh, I got sneakers. I'll go run with you.
Dude, we get 45, 50 people to come to the outside of a restaurant that my partner Sean owns. We're cold plunging and we're working out right outside the restaurant. That's like not even a gym.
And people are like, that was great. You didn't do anything.
Absolutely.
There's no fancy programming. There's no $10,000 equipment.
It's literally the community.
It's just people.
You're right.
It's just people. So understanding that, and I tell people all the time, you could go anywhere and swing a kettlebell and sweat. You can't go anywhere for the type of people that I have around.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know what I love about you too, man? You have the ability through your connections and obviously the individuals that you work with to really take probably you could probably take 10 clients for the year and make $1 million a year if you wanted to, right? Like you probably can on a personal level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you've chosen, and I think this is a real choice of yours, to make the fitness world in New York City accessible to anybody.
Yeah.
And I love that about you, because you can, I'm sure you could have worked your way into that big relationship that you were talking about, with that billionaire to, make sure you were good financially.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
But, that just speaks to your intention and the bigger purpose and the passion behind what you do.
Well, I'll tell you what, one of the coolest things that has happened to me in my career, and I've had a couple really cool opportunities in my life, was 2 years ago. I get a phone call out of nowhere from this woman that I used to work with, who's like, hey, so the CEO of Lifetime wants to talk to you. I go, about what? She's like, he wants to meet with you. And I go, who the fuck is it? Like, give me a little bit more background. She's like, his name's Bahram, and he wants to meet with you at the 42nd Street Club. Could you come over there right now? And I'm like about to walk into Henzo Gracie's. And I go, no, I'm going to go work out. I don't know what the fuck this is. I don't even know if you're fucking with me or not. She's like, no, he wants to meet with you now. I go, listen, tomorrow morning I have an opening from 9 to 10. I'll run over there. I'll go see him, and, we could talk. So I go there the next morning. Couldn't have been a sweeter guy. Like, he's 62 years old. He's this Iranian guy who lives in Minnesota. He wears this big fucking belt buckle. Just a cool, slick, great, in shape guy. Like, I admire the fuck out of this guy. And I know he's done it with a bunch of other people. He's called people up, bought out their businesses, and kind of just builds Lifetime. And I love what he's doing with Lifetime, because he's making this monster conglomerate, this massive company that's worth $6 billion right now. Very mom and pop, and I like that about him. But he sat me down and he's like, I need a guy here in New York City. He's like, and everyone I talk to says your name. And I go, I wanted to cry. I was like, and I don't cry about anything. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, well, listen, I really appreciate this. This is mind blowing to me. And the biggest, pat on the back I've ever gotten. I go, but I'm the worst fucking employee in the world. I go, you do not want to hire me. I'm telling you right now. I was like, I'm being dead honest with you. I'm a shit employee. I was like, I don't like listening to anybody. I'm not coming in here with a fucking golf shirt that says Lifetime. Not me. No shot. And he's like, that's what I love about you. I'm like, all right, well now, all right, we're on the same page and we're going to start talking about cash. But it was cool because we still stay in touch. I talked to him maybe 2-3 weeks ago. But it was like, okay, I'm doing something great. And when we kicked the can down the road and we were talking about money and stuff, I'm like, as much as it would help, right? And I always said, I was like, for what I'm doing, if I had a strategic partner who could help me like kind of move the business forward a little faster, it'd be great. But I'm like, what could I do on my own? How could I become so good? And I say this to all my employees. I'm like, be so fucking good that I need you. I don't want you. I need you. And that's what I try to do. I want to be so fucking good that people need this event. I want people to need this event. So for me, it's just, I'm driven by that idea that I've always, you know, people are always like, oh, well, you've always been in shape. I always felt like the kid on the outside of the party looking in. And I'm like, how do I get in? And I'm like, well, they're not going to let me in. So I'm just going to create my own fucking party. I'm going to do my own thing. And I've always had to do that my whole life. I'm like, well, nobody's going to help me with it. So I'm just going to fucking do it on my own. And I've just always operated that way. So hopefully one day I'll be big enough where they'll be like, hey, we need that guy, you know? And that was that moment in time. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to keep building because the longer I build, the better it gets. So
we're very similar in that sense with what you just said at the very end. Like, I couldn't tell you the vision for even like something like the podcast. Yeah. But I just know that being the most disciplined and consistent person that just keeps coming to the studio, something's going to pop. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so many people have been like, yo, why do you keep going? Why do you keep going? And I'm like, well, the only thing that stops me is if I actually stop. Yeah, yeah. Right? So as long as I'm figuring it out while I keep going, I'll be fine. Yeah. So I love that story, though. But also, by the way, I'll be that fucking guy that wears the Lifetime polo. So give him a call. Tell him you know a guy. That's a very cool story.
No, one of the things my buddy always said to me, my best friend, he helps me with everything. We do everything together. We're just away from my birthday and shit. And he had said, we were talking one day and he's like, you're like a fucking dog. He's like, you know, you're the type of guy that I'm with that like, even if fucking Superman shows up, we'll just deal with it. And I'm like, oh fuck. All right, cool. Okay. Like that we always like, I'm like, you could only prepare so far and you could only do as much as you can. Like you're like, I show up to the studio, I do what I have to do. I'm doing like, you could only do so much, you know, and you just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. And it's like, if he shows up, well, fuck, I better have some fucking kryptonite or something, right? Because that's the way we're going to win. Yep. You know, so I never worry about what everybody else is doing. I'm just trying to do what I'm doing really fucking good.
You got a ton of wisdom, man, and a ton of strengths. Yeah. One of my last questions for you is, I guess, what's the biggest area in your life that you'd like to improve?
I'd like to say like my work-life balance. But right now it's like I've been in this like tunnel that I know I'm onto something and I can't take focus off that. So there have definitely been women in the past who are like, you need to give yourself I'm like, shut the fuck up. Don't preach to me. I don't give a shit. Me going to, you know, Puerto Rico with you for the fucking weekend isn't going to make my life any better. It's probably going to improve yours because you're getting a free vacation. It's going to annoy the fuck out of me because I can't work. So it's like, as much as I'd love to satisfy you and shut you the fuck up, that's going to be the next 40 years of my life. Right? So if you want to hang on for that long, great. If you don't like it, even better. Because I have a goal and a vision. And if you want to get on this train, then yes, hopefully there's you know, a paradise at the end of this. But if you don't want to stay through the bad times, fuck off. Get out. You know, because there's always going to be vultures. There's always going to be people who want some shit from you. And listen, I'm not saying most of these women are great. I loved hanging out with them. I had a good time with a lot of girls. But if you're not willing to wait around while I fucking dog the shit out of myself, then fuck off. Good. Great. I liked fucking. That was great. Well, let's move on.
Yeah.
You know?
Final question for you, my brother. What does not snoozing on your life mean to you?
I mean, it's short. The window is short. I've seen it. I've had friends pass away and family members pass away, and the window is short. So, you know, right now, when people are like, I'm going to start the gym Monday. I'm going to start eating better New Year's. Why not now? Right now is the fucking answer to everything. Do it now. People, you're always on your phone because I'm getting shit done right now because I'm not going to wait till tomorrow. You know, because when you wait till tomorrow, you snooze, you lose, and you're missing an opportunity that some other dog's getting. You know I'm not the hungriest dog out there. I'm old. I'm slow. You know, I got to fucking play to my strengths. So I got to keep moving. You know? Yeah. I don't want to miss a moment. And to me, being at Strong and there being 3,000 people there smiling, having a good time, people with their kids, people engaging with people you would have never thought they would have talked to. To me, that's vacation. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars putting this thing together. I spent years of my life putting this whole thing together. And I go, that's vacation to me. Me sitting on a fucking beach in Mexico drinking a pina colada is annoying to me. I'm like, I don't want to drink. I'm sitting here in this fucking shithole country. Yeah, I'm hot. I don't want to be here. Put me in a fucking gym and surround me with people and like let me help them grow. Because that's victory to me. That's the fruit. That's the goal. Not me sitting on a beach by myself. I didn't build all this shit, so I'm sitting by myself. So
I love that. Yeah. Let everybody know into that camera right there where they could find you, where they could connect with Strong. Sure. And when's the next one?
September 27th at the Glass House on 48th and 12th Avenue. It's a beautiful space right in front of the Intrepid. We've been doing it there the last 2 years. This will be the third year we do it. But go to strongnewyork.com, sign up for our newsletter. It's going to have all the information soon about buying tickets and who's going to be there and all that stuff. And then at Kenny Santucci. And then my YouTube, Strong New York YouTube. Like, subscribe, share, do all that shit. So,
and your podcast too, right?
Yeah, and the podcast is all up there. And the podcast is on YouTube and stuff. Strong New York podcast. Everything's Strong New York.
Everything's Strong.
I just made it all Strong New York just to put it across the board. Go to Shop Strong New York, get some cool merch. I got a bunch of new shit coming out. I got to send you a care package.
I love that, bro.
So text me your address.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll get the big guys some stuff too. You 2X? Okay.
3X. 3?
Shit. That's going to be a special order then.
Nah, man, I appreciate you coming out. I love learning about people, man. And you were an interesting dude to me right from the start. And I'm happy I got to sit down.
Thank you very much.
I know we'll
appreciate you having me.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Next week I'll be on yours as well.
Okay. Cool.
So, he doesn't even know.
I don't know because she sets up my schedule and I'm just like, all right.
He's like, okay.
Yeah. She's on top of all that.
You know what's funny though is when you talk about a good team, right? Like I had connected with you originally. I'm like, oh, let's do a podcast exchange. You're like, absolutely. Talk to Christy.
Yeah.
And then from there, she's booking me and, we're already set up. So I'll see you again next week.
Yeah. She does all that shit for me. And, she'll do stuff where like she has access to all my stuff. I told her, I was like, if I drop dead, you have everything. That's going to be a good goal, good day for you.
Absolutely. No, you're a good dude, man. And thank you for not only sharing the wisdom, but also getting a little vulnerable with us and sharing some of the other stuff, man. Yeah. So, guys, we just want to say thank you for tuning in, whether you listen to one episode or 219 with my brother Kenny Santucci. We're just grateful for you. We were a top 10% podcast on Spotify in 2024.
That's hard. That's
an incredible feat, but only
awesome.
because of the listeners, man.
Cool.
Podcasting is not easy these days.
Not.
It's not easy.
It falls on deaf ears a lot of times. So to get that high, it's pretty impressive.
Yep.
Dude.
No, thank you, man. Thank you.
Sick.
And thank you to my brother behind the camera, Claudio the Voice Valenzuela. You guys could shop the latest merch at nosnoozeshop.com. Check out everything that Kenny Santucci has to come, and we'll tag all the links and everything in the episode. And until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up and get after it.
Kenny Santucci, baby. Strong as fuck. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's another epi in the books. You can follow us on Instagram at No Snooze Podcast and leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze. Shop the latest merch at nosnoozeshop.com. Come on.